Good morning, Sonder fam. Happy Sunday morning on Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully, a lot of you have a fabulous 3-day weekend coming up. So, this is not your last day of the weekend. And so, we are so glad to see you. I know hopefully everyone has been able to get in okay. I know I always try to take a look at Sonder Club. I know sometimes the link doesn't get emailed to you. We are working to try to get kind of away from the Eventbrite platform of sending notices and those kinds of things. So I apologize if you ever struggle a little bit to get these links to get in. I know that can be a little frustrating to be able to come and join us. So we are so happy you are here joining us. And I'm very happy because I noticed the latest update in Zoom has made it so I can scroll back and forth in the chat and it doesn't just go flying by. So I'm super happy that that's there. Yeah, and Tina said she joined from the Google Calendar. So if you have that, and I know Jennifer will throw in a link, maybe she can throw in a link to the chat. If you add the Silk and Sonder Google Calendar, it will have all the links for all of our socials. So it's an easy place. I think you can, yeah, and that's what she said she posted in Sonder Club, actually. So that's a good place to kind of go to make sure that you have that link. And like I said, we're trying to find something else that's a little more reliable and easy for folks to find. So thank you all for being here with us this Sunday morning. I am Maya, and I am coming to you from Aurora, Colorado, where it is a lovely sunny day. We had a lovely day yesterday, and then the storm kind of rolled in a little bit. We had a really nice thunderstorm. It was only for about 15 minutes, but it was lovely. The cats didn't think it was lovely, but it was very nice last night. So kind of a fun, we're rolling here in the getting ready to kind of roll into the unofficial start of summer. I know summer doesn't technically start till June 21st, but it feels like Memorial Day a lot of times is the kickoff. Our HOA pool opened yesterday, so getting ready to roll into that. I work for a school district, and our last day of school was Thursday, so feeling those kind of summertime vibes as we move forward. So if you're new to a Sonder Social event, we do these setup events. So this is to kind of set up your week. We do a monthly setup, which we have some of those coming. And then we also do socials that are geared toward answering journal prompts. So working in some of the journal prompts in your journal. So always be sure and check. And I know Jennifer will throw in some links later. Check our Eventbrite calendar, check our Google Calendar. And primarily, a majority of the events are part of your Silk and Sonder membership. We do have a few events sometimes that are what we call exclusive events that do have a minimal charge because often we have some guest speakers, or we have material that's not in the journal. So think content that is exclusively created for those exclusives. So they do have a small charge, but just so you know, lots of different opportunities. I will also tell you that none of you, I can't hear any of you, I can't see any of you, so you don't have to worry about sounds in the background for you, or people walking back and forth, or your pets walking back and forth, right? It's just going to be me. The other person helping me out here today is, excuse me, the fabulous Jennifer O. She's coming to us from Texas. She might pop on and give a little wave. She helps me with the chat. She kind of helps make sure that there she is, going to kind of pop on. If you can see her, she's going to give a little wave. And we'll both be here tomorrow morning doing the weekly setup as well. So if you have any questions, haven't anything that you need, she is happy to kind of pop in there in the chat, because I try to keep an eye on it, but sometimes it goes a little fast. So the other thing I do want to mention is make sure that little blue box in the chat says everyone. Oftentimes it will default back to the host and panelist, especially if you're on like an iPad or an iPhone. So just know when it does that, the only people who see your comments are myself and Jennifer. So if you're looking for tips or you have questions for the whole Sonder fam group, you want to make sure to switch it right up to the everyone. And I kind of put this little quote in here because I like this idea. You can start anew at any given moment. Life is just the passage of time, and it's up to you to pass it as you please. So we are so happy that you're passing some time with us this morning and setting that, like Jennifer says, prioritizing your setup. on this holiday weekend. So prioritizing your week so that you can have a good week as you move forward, right? So just a few community guidelines for you. Make sure that kind and courteous to both yourself and others there in the chat. No promotions or spam. We respect everyone's privacy. It's kind of like what happens and what we talk about here in Sonder Club stays here in the Sonder Socials in the Sonder Club. No hate speech or bullying. We limit those repetitive product and accessory questions. The best place to ask about stickers and markers and pens and covers for your social or for your journal. Best place for those is in Sonder Club because you can get lots of good responses from folks there. If you have any customer care inquiries like billing or address change or you get stickers that are not cut correctly. Every once in a while, it gets past our QA, but the stickers are kind of off with the cut. And so it's hard to peel them off. All those, excuse me, all those emails go to hello@silkensonder.com, and they can help you with all of that. Just keep in mind they're a Monday through Friday group on the um, West Coast time. And of course, they'll be closed tomorrow for the holidays. So sometimes it takes a little bit, got to be patient when you have those questions for them, but they should get back to you. And then ultimately, remember these Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community. And we have a fabulous supportive community here. But ultimately, you're responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So if there's ever something we're working on that's not your jam, you don't really particularly want to fill that out or work on it, you're welcome to hop to something else, work on the coloring page, work on a different section, just sit here and listen to the music, hang out in the chat, talking with all of our fabulous folks. The chat, I think Jennifer and I have talked about, like that's kind of where the magic happens a lot. You get a lot of different things going. And our recordings that we have of these socials do not include the chat. So just keep in mind, it's only at the live events that we have that chat going. So diving in, this is the last week of the month, right? And that's another thing too, I probably should mention. If you've been with me for a while, you know that my decision when I rule the world is that every month will start on a Monday because it makes the journaling so much easier and tidy. But since I don't rule the world yet, we have this week that will run into both months. And so some people, if they have the May journal and they have the new June journal, they're always like, how do I do that? So I'll just tell you, my rule of thumb is usually whichever month has the most days in it is where I stay. So like May has 5 days in it for this week, so I'll probably stay in that. June only has 2. Some people are like excited and anxious to get into the next month, so they're using June. But some people will use both journals during this week. It'll be kind of a back and forth kind of thing. So again, it's totally up to you how you want to do it. And I'll try to make sure to remember to give you the page numbers for both the May journal and the June journal so that you know kind of what we're flipping back and forth. But for those purposes, we are going to stick with the theme of trust. That's how the month of May has been rolling. And it's been a very interesting journey, I think, for a lot of folks, kind of delving into this idea of trust, trusting yourself, trusting others, just this whole idea of what trust looks like. So our agenda for today, we always do on the weekly setups, we always have what we call a mind map with the theme of the month. So we'll have our trust mind map, and it'll be the last week of that. We'll do the rosebud thorn activity where you reflect on how this previous week has gone. And then we work on a couple of those weekly setup pages to go through, right? And make sure we get all set up for success for the week. So I always include these 2 little cartoons here to remind us of a couple things. First of all, there's room for you here just as you are. You can share your successes, you can share your challenges, you can share happy things, you can share sad things. Really, it's that whole life thing, right? So really just kind of sharing everything, and there's no right or wrong, right? And then the other one is the way you feel matters. No emotion you feel is bad or unworthy. No one can tell you how you should feel about something. No one can tell you you shouldn't be sad or you should be happy or like, right? It's our emotions are our emotions, and we're here to share all the feels with everyone here in Sonder Club. And it's one of those things where I always encourage, sometimes people say, well, I don't want to like I've been having a bad week and I don't really want to put that out there because I don't want people to, feel like that's really negative. And sometimes when we share the challenges that we're having, we are surprised to see that a lot of other people are having those same challenges or having those same issues. I think sometimes we tend to think it's only us and everybody else, everything is fine. And it's not, right? We all, that's life, right? The ups and downs. So again, please feel free to share what you would like in the chat. So, with this idea of the mind map, we have been embracing this opportunity for trust to unlock greater insights about ourselves. And really, that's what Silk and Sonder is for, right? To really kind of dig in and learn more about ourselves so that we can be the people that we want, right? And so are delving into this idea of complexities with trust, exploring its role in our relationships, personal growth, overall, and well-being. And this is our fourth weekend of this month to do that. And I will show you, you'll see all the prompts. So if you want to catch up at all, you can, but you don't have to, right? You don't have to catch up. I know sometimes people stress about this idea of catching up. You can just start where we are. So this is not anything that's specifically in your journal. So we just tell you to find a blank page, or sometimes people like to use the little scratch pad that's in the week, right? This is just kind of a little extra there. And so this week is week 4, and we're going to dig into this idea of trust and trusting, accepting others, and what that looks like, right? What does it look like to accept others? And you can see week 1 was trust to forgive, week 2 was trust for strength, and week 3 was trust for vulnerabilities. So different ideas. And all of our socials are videoed and are recorded and put on our YouTube channel. So you can always watch the intros to some of those different weeks if you want to kind of see how folks dig into that, right? And the other thing I want to mention, Nicole, thanks for bringing this up. She takes a screenshot. So if you're on your phone, you can do a screenshot. On your computer, you can take a screenshot. Or if you have your cell phone, you can take a picture of the screen, just so that you can kind of remember if you want to go back. If you want to go back and take a look and kind of dig into this. So digging into this idea of trust and accepting others and what that looks like, I just have a few quotes for you to kind of think about as we think about this, right? So one is accept people for who they are, love without fear, trust without restriction, want without demand, and be honest above all else. And then there's another one that says choose to trust people in your life and they will feel and act more trustworthy. I remember, I think about trusting others. We took my nephew, he was, I think 15 or 16 at the time. And we went to, we were in Ocean City, Maryland, where we go every year. And we took him there to the beach, and he wanted to go out at night. And of course, we were like, it's 9 o'clock. We're going to be in the room. We're going to go to bed. But he really wanted to go out and kind of hang out on the boardwalk where all the action was. And so I trusted him and said that, okay, but you have to report back in 45 minutes. And so he looked at his watch, looked at the time. This is what time you have to be back. And he was back like 5 minutes before the time was up. And he was like, oh, but I'm having so much fun. Can I go back out again? And I was like, all right, you've got another 45 minutes. You have to be back at this time. And he was back again 5 minutes before his time was up. So that idea of trust, and I trusted him to be out there. Of course, he was taking pictures of some of the of the ladies, and he was having a fun time meeting people. But again, kind of that you trust people, and they can feel and act more trustworthy. And a strong relationship is built only when people learn to let go of doubts about each other. And you must trust and believe in people, or life becomes impossible. So one of the things, I was talking to Jennifer about this, and she did the social for this yesterday, and was kind of talking about, she just read this book called How to Know a Person, by David Brooks. And so I think I'm going to have to go and watch the recording of that. And it'll take a few days for that to be up because it was over the weekend. But she had some really great insights from reading that book about how to really understand another person, how to connect with another person, and just really kind of that idea of building trust. So I think that's definitely very interesting. And also, Jennifer's kind of pointing out, if sitting with any of these prompts feels uncomfortable for you right now, I would recommend just kind of sitting with it and thinking about it, and thinking about what trusting others means, thinking about what accepting others means. And then maybe you don't write about it yet. You just kind of sit with it and you write about it later, when you're kind of in a better headspace, or as you're thinking of it. So I'm just going to play some music and let you work on that. You're welcome to share in the chat your thoughts, kind of what you're writing, how you feel about this idea about trust and accepting others. And then we'll check back in here in just a few minutes. All right. Thank you for those of you who shared in the chat. I really appreciated Tina's comment about how her job relies on her trusting other people to do their parts of the job. And that can be kind of a scary thing, right? When you know that your work depends on someone else doing things correctly. And I think sometimes the temptation for us is to think, well, I'll just do it myself, right? We had a person at work who he just left not too long ago, but he really overburdened himself because he didn't trust others to do what needed to be done. So he kept taking on all this extra work, which, might have felt easier in the beginning, but then to not trust other people and to not give them the chance to do it was just really overburdening. And it was just really too much for him. And he, I think, ended up having to leave. And so I always try to tell people, like, it's hard sometimes to trust others, but like Jennifer was saying, kind of based on that book, the David Brooks book, talking about the idea of making connections with others, really knowing others, understanding what other people are going through, understanding where people have been, understanding what they know and they're able to do really is what helps us kind of build that idea of trust. So hopefully everybody kind of has, so you've got these 4 weeks now. Next weekend will be um, a new theme and a new set of mind map questions. And again, you're always welcome. If you want to catch up on these, that's fine. If you just are working on week 4 and you're ready to dive into next week, absolutely fine, to kind of keep moving forward. So speaking of that, let us look at the rosebud thorn activity, which I think is on page 50 in your May journal. It won't be in your June journal because this week isn't in the June journal. So if you only have the June journal, that's absolutely fine. You could do this in the scratch pad section. You could do this in a blank, one of the blank pages. Sometimes people will even write this like on the cover somewhere just to kind of give themselves a little bit of time to reflect on this past week. And it's so important to just take a few minutes and reflect on what you did, what went well, what was frustrating, what you're looking forward to, just to kind of remind yourself that a lot happens in a week. And sometimes we tend to be so quick and rushing forward, we forget that, right? April, you're so funny. She says, I trust my husband to fold the towels. If they look terrible, I do not even refold them, even if my eye twitches a little. After twitches a little every time I look at the towels, because otherwise I have to fold everything, right? And then you have to say like, okay, is it worth my time to refold everything, or is that good enough because it's a towel and it's just going to be used in a little bit, right? I love that idea of trusting someone, to do anything, to do something. So the rose that we have in our rosebud thorn is something that's a highlight from your last week, something exciting, something fun, something that made you happy. Of course, I don't know that mine's exciting because mine was I took a nap yesterday, which was lovely, which I don't normally get to do during the week. So it's nice sometimes to take a nap. Then the bud is something that you're looking forward to, something that's coming up. Maybe it's a trip, maybe it's you planted some flowers and you're looking forward to those growing. Maybe it's getting to go out by the pool. So I put in mind, this was my little niece. Well, she's not little anymore, she's 13. So, and giving her mom a whole lot of grief, as 13-year-old young ladies are want to do. But she's very excited to come out and visit here in Colorado. They live in Kansas. And so she sent me this little message that she's excited to see me this summer. So I thought that was very sweet. And she likes sloths. So that was kind of her little, her cute little emoji thing that she put in there. So I thought that was very sweet. Looking forward to that. And then, excuse me, our thorn is something that's frustrating. Maybe it's something we don't have a lot of control over. Maybe it's something somebody else is doing that we can't change, just something that's a little frustrating. And so for me, mine is the HOA, is the Homeowners Association. I am the president of that this year. And it's just, if you've dealt with HOAs before, they're just, it's a lot of people and it's a lot of personalities and it's a lot of frustration. And we opened the pool yesterday and there's just a lot of work to be done. And I kind of feel like the little red hen sometimes, right? With the, who will help me plant the wheat? Who will help me harvest the wheat? Nobody wants to do the helping part, but they all want to partake in the fun part of it. So definitely a little bit of a thorn. So I'll play a little bit of music, let you work on this. Please feel free to share with us if you would like your rose, your bud, and or your thorn, whichever one you feel comfortable with sharing. And then I'll check back in here in just a few moments. All right. Thank you all for sharing in the chat. It's always so fun to see a lot of the roses. We've got some graduations. We had some fun trips that folks took. I was trying to see like what else is in there. It's Tina got a bird feeder camera. I'm super into my little birdies outside, so that's kind of my next idea for a purchase is a little bird feeder camera. Um, so lots of fun ideas. And then, some thorns. A lot of us have been sick. I've been fighting this cold all month. Now it's mostly just a cough that is like super irritating. I saw lots of folks that had pink eye, which I'm hoping I don't get that, but I know that's been going around too, very odd. So, kind of dealing with that. And then hopefully some buds coming up. Some people have some vacations, some travel coming up. Again, some fun, gardening, those kinds of things. So always good to spend a little bit of time reflecting. So let's dive into that weekly planner. So this is going to be, if you have your May journal, this is week 22, and it's going to be on page 52 and 53. And then I forgot to grab, where's my June journal? June journal, it is on page 26 and 27. So again, it's kind of up to you if you want to use May or finish out May, if you want to use June, if you want to use both, right? Totally whatever works for you. And the first part that we look at is this week, I want to feel. So how do you want to feel this week? I always say this is kind of your intentions for how you want to show up. You could use one word. You could use a set of words. You could use a phrase. You could use an affirmation. I like one has ready, and then they have the definition for, in a suitable state for an activity, action, or situation. So kind of different fun ways to work on this section. And I like to kind of pair the feeling with the section right below it, which are the weekly major 3 goals. And those goals are really, as we think about them, kind of if we achieve these goals, then maybe that will help us achieve that feeling, right? What kind of goals can we set to help us with that feeling? So here's some examples of things that folks have done. They want to feel achieved and happy. So they have eat well, stay active, practice self-care, main character energy. So they have things like lean into my routines, take responsibility for how I want to feel, follow my peace. Maybe they want to feel content. So their goals are deleting negative things, delegating things, and delighting in what they want to delight in. Oh, Maggie wants to feel inspired and rad. Ooh, rad. That's a fun word. I haven't heard that one for a while. Here's some other ones that want to feel present. And so they have different ways. And they also put in their notice, read this page daily. And they have God, job, and detach. So 3 major goals there. Maybe they want to feel invigorated. So they have a mind, body, and soul. They want to feel grounded and joyful. So these are the things that they're going to do, their goals to feel that way or encouraged, and they have goals that way. So, and I also put in there some ways to repurpose the goals section if maybe a goal isn't necessarily your jam, but you maybe want to put in some quotes or maybe some podcasts or movies or TV shows to watch that might potentially help you with your goal, right? Things you want to read, ways to get excited. It says spring, but it could also be for the upcoming summer. Maybe songs, exploring 3 topics you want to know more about, 3 new recipes, creating a mini bingo board, those kinds of things. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of cycle through these examples for you, and feel free to share how you want to feel this week. If you want to share some of your goals, that would also be lovely. And just kind of work on that section, and then we'll check back in. All right. So thanks for sharing in the chat what kinds of things you're putting in there. And I do see several folks saying things like, I feel like I'm behind. I feel like I'm not in the loop. I feel like there's a lot of blank pages in my journal, right? For a lot of us, if you've been sick, like that's kind of the last thing that should be at the top of your priority list, right? Is filling out your journal. You're supposed to be resting. So you could write really big on those pages, right? Like I was sick, and just leave it at that because you're just working on it. And really, again, these journals are for you to feel good, to be able to dig into kind of your own personality, your own kind of how you are. And sometimes we just have to like take a moment, right? Just give yourself the grace that you would give someone else. Would you tell a friend who had some blank pages in their journal that they were behind and they, shame on them and they needed to finish? No, of course you wouldn't. So don't say that to yourself, right? Right. And remember, there's no journal police. Jennifer and I are not going to show up at your door and grade your journal and give you a bad score if you have blank pages. And I promise you, if you saw mine, there are frequently blank pages. We were laughing about this in one of our facilitator meetings just this last week, where Meha was actually asking us about one of the pages if we'd filled out. And I said, it's kind of like the shoemaker's children never have any shoes. The facilitators, oftentimes we don't actually fill out our own journal pages unless we're facilitating that particular activity. So it's just kind of the way it is, right? And so if you have some blank pages, that's fine, right? Just pick up where you left off. You don't have to go back. You don't have to fill out anything. You don't have to feel behind. Just kind of do what you need for yourself, right? So the next two sections here also kind of go well together, the to-dos and the habits and activities, which I smushed together one time and called them habities. And that tended to stick with people, right? Our habities. So sometimes people like to do to-do lists and they create this, what's called an Eisenhower decision matrix. And this can be really helpful if you have a lot of tasks and you're kind of trying to figure out how to kind of fit them in. So the Eisenhower matrix kind of divides things up into four, where it talks about things that are important and urgent and things you need to do right now, things that aren't important, but they're urgent. So maybe you could delegate that to someone else or delegate that to a different time. Maybe it's important, but it's not urgent. So you need to decide a schedule, or you need to decide something to kind of put in that it would get done. And then things that aren't important and aren't urgent, maybe they need to be deleted, or maybe it's things that need to be donated, or maybe it's things that you want to delay or defer, all of those kinds of things. So then there's kind of like a little example there for you as well, if that works for you. Here's some other examples of things that folks have done: making a ta-da bingo, making a don't do this, but do this instead. One person has their to-dos in kind of cute little boxes, categories, right? So self-care things, health, home, course. Then there's the weekly to-dos, need, want, and hope. And then there's a cute little step-by-step, right? Their to-dos, they're doing it step-by-step, and they drew cute little feet. So you don't have to make a list of to-dos, right? You can just kind of remind yourself of things to do. Sometimes people divide it up into things they need to do for work, things they need to do for home. Oops, okay, computer. And then you could also maybe write a gratitude or write a quote in there. You could put a list of not to do things you don't want to do in that section. You could maybe make it a to-be list, ways you want to be. I want to be patient, be kind, be vigilant, be honest. Again, that idea of ta-da list is helpful. And then that section underneath, sometimes these kind of go hand in hand, because the habits activities section here is it's different from the habits wheel that we have at the beginning of the month. The one from the early part of the journal is more about things you want to do every day, little habits that you want to build. But this, to me, is more for things you want to do during the week. Or some people say that the habit activity is a good place to kind of give a habit a trial run, see how it feels, see how it works, see what it looks like. So here's some examples of things that folks have written in. You can have goals for like maybe how many times you want to do it that week, but if that's a little too stressful, you can just kind of blank that part out. You don't have to fill it out. I like there's like some cute little ones with like the little stickers. Some people pop those in there. And you notice the one that has the two girl stickers, she kind of has that one girl covering up Saturday and Sunday, right? Saying like, I'm not going to do these things on Saturdays and Sundays. So people have things like reading for 30 minutes, sewing for 15 minutes. Maybe it's like walking for 5 minutes. Um, any kind of again, little idea for something that you want to work on. No social media. Oftentimes I will put delete 10 emails or unsubscribe from 5 different email lists. That's one thing. If you're trying to save money, if you unsubscribe from a lot of those emails that have the sales, it's a lot easier because you don't get notifications of things that have gone on sale. So that kind of goes hand in hand. You're trying to, maybe one of your goals is to stop unnecessary spending. So one of your habits or one of your activities is to unsubscribe from those helpful sale emails, right? And then some people do like the little one that's circled up where it says night walk with audiobook, is kind of that idea of habit stacking. So putting both of those piece, two habits together for one thing kind of is able to do 2 pieces, right? So yeah, oh yeah, and Jennifer's saying, thinking that maybe the gal, when there's the person on Saturday and Sunday, she's going to switch over to the June journal, which you could do that as well too, right? So sometimes, again, some people will keep 2 weeks, some people will just keep one. Yeah, getting out of the email list of temptations, that really has helped me save money, because I notice I don't spend as much because nobody's telling me about all these great sales. So I'll let you work on that section, play a little bit of music, and then we'll check back in here in just a few minutes. Okay, so I saw lots of folks saying that they were going to take my unsubscribe from email list suggestion. Again, it's a game changer because I kind of started doing it last year when my goal was to not buy any yarn for the year. It was kind of it was a challenge for myself and one of my yarny friends. And our husbands were going to treat us to a nice dinner if we didn't buy any yarn for a year, which neither one of us did, by the way. But usually I would get so many emails with all these new colors or sales. And so I thought, I can't be tempted by this, right? So I just unsubscribed from all of them. It made life a lot easier. Plus, it made my email box not quite so crazy. So yeah, sometimes I will often have in there unsubscribe from email lists. Yeah, Jill, I've got enough yarn to last several lifetimes. So it's one of those where I'm like, I feel like I need to give it away because I like to buy yarn from the local yarn stores to support them, but I'm never going to knit all this yarn. So just kind of again, these habits and activities are they can be really helpful for here's some things I want to do this week. It's not necessarily specific to all the time I want to do it, but Megan, I am not attacking you, I promise. But yeah, so just some fun ideas for things that you want to do this week. I often will also put like pack my lunch for work 4 days a week, right? And that is also helpful for saving money as well, right? So yeah, so many knitters and crocheters here. See, we should all get together and we could have like a big a yarn exchange. We could all bring all of our extra yarn. So let's flip over to that next page and spend our remaining time working on these different areas. And I'm going to show you lots of different examples. And I want to kind of emphasize, think about these socials as kind of a buffet, right? A buffet of ideas, a buffet of ways that you could use these sections. Some people don't use this page much at all. Some people only use it on a semi-regular basis. One of our other facilitators, Katie, calls this the B side, right? Like the B side of the album. Sometimes you need it, sometimes you want to listen to it, sometimes you don't. So it kind of depends on how you want to use it. And a lot of these sections folks will repurpose in different ways. So the first one I'm going to show you is the meal plan, because I feel like this is the most heavily repurposed. A lot of people say, oh, well, I have an app that I track food in, or I don't necessarily plan out my meals. So what are some different ways that I could use this? So here's a whole list of different things that you can do in this section. Fauna's saying I change it to daily affirmations. It's a lovely place to put that. Some people use it for their clothing plan. I like that idea. Because it takes out one other decision, right? There's those stories of I think was it Bill Gates that always wore the same clothes, not the same clothes, but he had 7 of the exact same black shirt and 7 of the exact same whatever pants, and so there was never a decision in the morning. Steve Jobs, thank you, Katie. I knew it was one of the computer people. But that idea that took away a decision point. So sometimes maybe just, I don't think I would want to wear the exact same outfit every single day. That feels a little boring to me, but tracking it or planning it, right? And yeah, having that in there is great. And just kind of gives you some ideas. The one person has meal plan for my soul. So ways to kind of think about it, right? And again, remember, everything's a trade-off, right? If I want to do this, then something else is not happening. So if you like making decisions every morning about what you're going to wear, what earrings, that's lovely. But then maybe there's something else that you want to, maybe you want to plan out your food and you're going to pack lunch so that you don't have to spend time with that, because it's all about that kind of give and take, right? So again, here's lots of different ideas. Take a screenshot, kind of see what's there. Here's some other ideas. People put their wins and achievements. They put their quotes, their word of the day, affirmations, to-dos, workouts, weekly reflections, those kinds of things. Yeah, Marty's saying that there's a college football coach who eats the same breakfast and lunch every day. Yeah, I do feel like, did you ever think as an adult you would have to spend so much time figuring out what's for dinner? Right? I feel like my husband and I are constantly like, what's for dinner? What's for dinner? I have a lot more respect for my mom now, trying to plan out food for her 5 kids and husband, right, on a regular basis. Like, it gets kind of mind numbing there. Speaking of that, here's the mind body health plan on this section. So again, the idea is you're kind of maybe keeping track or giving yourself some ideas of things that are good for your mind and your body. So I like the person, they have kind of keep it fun in the middle, and then they have the fun ideas that they can do, read a new book, get outside and play. I also popped in this idea of the real luxuries, things like a good night's sleep, slow mornings, freedom to choose, time for fun and play, listening to the birds sing, right? So maybe some of these luxuries can be things that you would keep track of. Somebody has a little bingo. Girls just want to have fun, and some things that they would have for their bingo. Um, Again, just some different ideas. I love the person who had the little drawing of the get off my butt, and they have the little person walking away from the chair. It's kind of a fun little reminder. Some people have, I like the one in the bottom, they have my plan and then my reality, right? So my plan is to walk however many minutes or, how much time. And then here's kind of my reality. And then they went to Disneyland on Tuesday. So that's kind of fun. Again, Wordles, feel and need. How did I nourish my mind, body, and soul? The cleaning tasks. Again, someone has kind of different ideas of, face mask and hair routine. They have a Sonder Social in there. One person has the National Whatever Day, right? So National Spider-Man Day, National Ice Cream Day, different ways that you can kind of, because every day is a National Something Day, which always kind of cracks me up. And then that shopping list that's underneath there, right? They have different things. There's one that's a good night. So it's kind of their nighttime routine to help them remember what kinds of things they're doing there. We have a packing list. So again, getting ready to go on vacation, maybe you want to make a packing list. Self-care shopping list, right? So I like that idea. Take what you need. She has all these different little ideas, and then a little bag that says love yourself too. Lots of different bingos, a birthday week bingo, a yay me bingo, a mind, body, heart bingo, momentum bingo. We do love our bingos here at Silk and Sonder, and that is kind of a fun way to kind of check things off the list. Here's some other fun things that people have done: a social check-in, checking in with different people, maybe either texting or calling them or having a face-to-face meeting. And then there's just that little I am loving box, right? So it's just the I am loving is just sometimes you fill it out at the beginning of the week, sometimes you fill it out at the end. Maybe you have an affirmation there. Maybe you have, if it's a TV show that you're watching, we like to watch Welcome to Wrexham about the Welsh football, AKA soccer team, is kind of a fun one. They always have kind of fun little community stuff going on. So take what you need from this buffet. I'm giving you a plethora of ideas to put in here. Again, use what you want, ignore the others, or maybe you take some snapshots and you can use these later, right? This is a good place to experiment, see what works for you for the week. Some weeks are very different, so you have to kind of change things up a little bit. So I'll let you work on that, and then we'll check back in here in just a moment. All right. So thank you all for sharing in the chat different ways that you use these different sections. Again, it's something where if you don't need that section, those sections that week, sometimes I just use the meal plan to jot down phone messages or phone notes or, phone numbers or something that I have to do. So, and then there's nothing else on that page. So again, it's kind of totally up to you how you want to, how you want to use it for yourself. All right. So believe it or not, we have come to the end of our hour. I know this is always the quickest hour, much faster than a treadmill hour, that's for sure. So please feel free, if you would like, to share your weekly planner pages in Sonder Club. You can tell that's where we got all of these examples from. These are all of our fabulous Sonder family members posting things and then us taking those pictures to share. So I know some people say, oh, I don't want to share because my writing is so bad or whatever. It's like, please don't think of that. You never know who you're going to inspire with what you share. So please share. We love to see what is in there. Also, I did want to point out, they do have the 20% off Memorial Day sale on pretty much everything. I think that's in our Silk and Sonder website. So the new Elevate Planner, which I still haven't seen in person yet, but I hear it is lovely. It's a hardcover, big year-long journal. And that's so you can get 20% off that. You can get 20% off the online classes that we have. Oh, Sarah says it's amazing. So I believe you. They're supposed to be sending those out soon to us so we can kind of take a look at those. But there's all the swag, all the different kinds of stuff that's in there, has that 20% off, which also works for the monthly stickers. And the monthly stickers are set up to be color coded to each month. So they have those kind of set up. And I think we've switched vendors because, so I think the new ones are maybe a little more papery than vinyl. So that they don't smear as much. So I haven't gotten June stickers yet, but I'll let you know kind of how those go. And Jennifer's kind of dropping some links in there. Then there's also just the kind of evergreen sticker set, the stickers that kind of work for whatever. They're not necessarily themed to the month. So that's still there. So the 20% off works on that too. So treat yourself to a little fun stickers or the Elevate Journal or any of the other fun things that are in there. We do still have the Refer a Friend program going. There's the upgrading to the annual subscription savings. And then you'll get a link, but there's also this QR code for the survey about the socials. So letting us know what kinds of things you'd like to see in socials, all those different things. And Jennifer's also popping the YouTube link in the chat as well, where we have all our recordings. It will probably take a few days for these weekend recordings to be up, just so you know, but they will be there. And there's lots of other things in there as well. And then I will also pop the link to these were the songs that I used during the May socials. I didn't necessarily use all the songs, but this was kind of my May playlist that I picked from. So welcome to take a listen to anything in there. Have a fabulous, fabulous week. I hope again you're having a good rest of your weekend. And then we will check back in with you and see you again, hopefully at another social. Jennifer and I are going to be here tomorrow morning, Monday morning, to do another weekly setup. So maybe we will see you at one of those. But otherwise, take care and we'll see you again soon.
Here we go. One, two, what you gonna do? 3, 4, give me some more. 5, 6, just for kicks. We got a lot going down now up in this mix. We like nothing that you've ever seen. Yeah, we do it so naturally. Come on, can you feel that rhythm underneath your shoes? It's all about style and the way you move. We got the vibe on lock and we're ready to roll. Come on, show us what you got, 'cause we're good to go. Right, left, on to the next. Front,